Well, since this is just us, is there anything for opening talks that you think would be supportive?
Hmm. I mean, we kind of tapped in a little bit yesterday and we're talking on some topics and yeah, there's a lot of things that even since like were popping up and moving through and I've kind of had a few since I knew we were going to get together today, like versions of the conversation that have been popping up for me. So, you know, we could dive into like we talked about this sort of shame aspect. Another thing that came up for me it's just really around like kind of like prioritizing, like fun and enjoyment and the things like that I want to experience in life. And
Hmm.
that's almost like come linearly through the shame because I had this thing after our talk yesterday at some point where I was sitting with some of this like kind of just we were talking about shame and I had mentioned I followed it back and I had done some like bit of a healing exercise with it and then this thing came to my mind that was like this whole thing around shame and trying to like find it and localize it and heal it. It's also like the shame is this in many ways very convenient excuse to not do the things that like I feel are have some level of like risk or it's an easy way to stay actually really comfortable and so it's like it's a protective mechanism. It's like, and now that I'm in the space of like, oh, I want to find and heal the wound, I'm also seeing it's a way for me to in some ways like just talk myself out of doing the actions that like are necessary to craft the new path.
Um,
So there's some of that's been coming up.
can you help me understand? So you're saying that the a fear of shame will stop you, or like saying like because of shame, because I'm shamed right now, I'm not gonna do X, Y,
You
Z.
like it kind of because this thing comes up around like not wanting to be seen or
Mhm.
discovered or like wanting to hide things. That's one of the components, and then that's also developed into this like it's also it's like because yeah the fear of being seen and like the shame that comes up or the kind of the matrix of it um pops up. It's also a great way for me to be like I'm afraid of being seen, so then I won't step into the situation. So like it's almost like I expanded out a little bit and from could see from another viewpoint that like it's that fear of shame and of being seen and all of that. It's like it's also a great story that I tell myself to keep myself from doing things that are new, like scary or or scary or like risky. They're new. So because of that, they're inherently like unfamiliar and um the old story around like I'm not enough. It's a great way to like procrastinate on the reality I want to live in. That's kind of what was popping up for me. So I'm down to
So
explore that.
let's pause here. There's a few things before we jump in. First, do you have a hard stop dice?
I do not, but ideally, top of the hour would be great. So I got a
Okay,
couple phone calls to make at some point.
okay, because this is for you, and
Hmm.
so like the context of this is the states, but
Hmm.
there's like some other stuff in my toolkit outside of states that's more
Yeah.
motion focused, and I don't know what's gonna come from the states, but I want to do a focus states. And then if there is stuff that we want to clear up and want to do like deep dive on emotions,
Mhm.
stories, beliefs, that would come afterwards. And so, if you don't have to leave, then we can do the states and do whatever. But if there's a hard stop, we might not be able to do all that. So we'll just, at every step, I'm going to check in with you and your nervous system and time. Because what I will not do is I'm not going to start jumping into emotion process or like a process that's going to take you back in time.
Mhm.
You do not feel like you have time and space to complete it.
Right. No,
That's going to leave
I
you in a really
appreciate that.
wonky space, and those other phone calls are going to go really terribly if we do that,
Yeah,
Tyson.
no, I appreciate that.
Uh,
And that sounds good. Like we can do the focus states, see where the time kind of allows from there. And I'm also I'm open to considering those things and like just usually how I work, I can do some of that exploration like with myself as well. When the right kind of moments arise.
uh-huh. So then just doubling back. So there were two things that you said. There was one around shame, and then there was another positive states that you were considering. I can't remember what the other topic was.
Um, I mentioned like having fun, like prioritizing like to me this is all very connected. So like prioritizing fun and enjoyment in life. And this is kind of where that piece about like procrastinating comes in. Like I find myself procrastinating not just on the things I have to do, but on like enjoying my life and like being in a space of doing the things that like bring me fun and pleasure.
Uh-huh.
And that's where like there's a there's a putting off of those things. There's a some type of like, you know, block around that of like I'm not enough. I haven't like there's something else I have to do. It's all it's to me it feels like it's connected to those shame components of like I have to prove something before I'm able to like be seen or before I'm able to step into something and before I'm able to actually enjoy life. So I've been putting off in some ways like the enjoyment of life. Um, so
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's kind of and apologies if it gets kind of murky. Like that's part of my kind of pattern.
I am really good at murky dice.
So.
So what I'm feeling, and so I need to like do a preamble for this as
Mhm.
well, is I don't know the context of this recorded states. Like I don't know if it's being assessed on or whether like how well I am doing the states, but what I'm feeling is kind of a hybrid intentional and unintentional states that
Mhm.
the shame component is an unintentional state and we can go and figure out the strategies there and then circle back to intentional state of what you need to create
Mhm.
to be seen, to have more fun, whatever else, and have them kind of woven together as like an intentional, unintentional.
That works for me because I'm kind of, it's like I'm not so unfamiliar or haven't traversed these waters. So I am in between I'm kind of fluctuating between some of that, like the
Okay.
unintentional thing and then wanting to build something new. So that makes sense to me.
Okay, so you know, easy place to start. The emotion is shame, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think a really natural way to unpack this is maybe just to do like just shame because.
Mhm. Mm.
we're not gonna do a full yellow brick road, but do
Mhm.
I have permission from your subconscious, your nervous system to
Mhm.
to dive in?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so shame because,
hmm. Shit, I'm just gonna go into it. Shame because I was yelled at.
okay, I was yelled at because,
I was yelled at because I did something wrong.
okay. And I think that's a perfect thought to leave it at.
Mhm.
Um, okay. So when do you feel like you do something wrong?
That's a great question. I feel like I rotate around that throughout my day in a few different ways.
Mhm.
One of the ways that shows up is um, after like maybe after an interaction with like with a family member, or maybe after like y- after yeah, after like a conversation, after an interaction, after doing something like work related, after this is in the past, but after like any type of like performance, public like speaking, um, it's like I will at some point like revisit an experience and then like there's like all these pockets of like what I did wrong, or like I want to see what I like did wrong. So it kind of happens um after an event, usually like with people, usually around like communication, or like maybe like if I did something, it's like I'll like criticize what that is, you know? It's like after
Mhm.
an event, at some point, I'll find something
So
often
in
wrong.
the moment, it feels okay, and then after there's an analysis that happens.
Um, yeah, that's often a pattern. Like that, there's some moments where I might feel like in the moment, like, oh, this isn't really working. But for the most part, this thing that comes up quite a bit is like it's it's like after something. It's almost like I am like
Uh-huh.
I'm looking back at it and like things are coming to me that are like the things that could be perceived as wrong, at least by my like own inner critic or
Mhm.
something to that regard.
So you said in interactions, conversations, performances. I'm not sure if there's anything else on your list,
Yeah,
but
just like work related stuff. Let's say like I'll do a presentation, or like, I'll
uh,
hold a call, like those types of things. I'm
can,
like
can
what could
you
be
come up?
improved? What could be better?
So can you come up with like a commonality between those things? Like, what are you doing in all of those things that ties them together?
I'm I'm like being seen or being vulnerable, and then I'm
Okay.
subsequently judging myself as a result.
Uh-huh. So I think, I don't know if I'm not a rule follower, Dice. I don't know if I'm allowed to put two things in the situation, but being seen and vulnerable.
Hmm.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Because you said it earlier, and then so um, when you are seen or vulnerable, and you think I did something wrong, and you feel shame, what actions do you take?
Oh, I usually like sit on uh the couch and I just sort of like space out, and I start like I start like either visualizing what that is, or I have like or I have like an emotion that starts coming through, and then I'm like, almost I can get overwhelmed. Like it's like if I have that thought around like I did something wrong, then like I'll have some type of emotion hit me, and then like I feel overwhelmed by the emotion. So then I'm kind of like spacing out and feeling it. That's one of the things. Then what I'll do along with that is I'll like
Wait, pause for a second, Dice. What are you visualizing? The scenario?
I'm visualizing like yeah, the scenario or like the way I said something, like what my voice sounded like what it looks like, what I could have looked like. If I'm on a Zoom, what I like saw myself. I'm like seeing those things, usually zeroing in on like something that could be kind of ambiguous that I'm like, oh, could that be seen in this way? But yeah, then I will hear myself say sounds that are like, oh, or like, oh man. And then I get into like, if it feels heavy on my body, sometimes I want to like walk around or distract myself. But I'm carrying this like, oh man, like something feels like incomplete. I gotta retract. I gotta retract. Like that's enough, sort of like. So then it's like a pullback of like, I don't really want to interact with like another person for a while. So that gets into like a space of like, let me let me pull back. So yeah.
You don't want to interact with anyone. You don't want to interact with certain people. Like, do you want to interact with Annika when these things happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes no, but usually yes. Like, and then like usually she's holding space and like helping me move through it um and like giving me some reflections, or at least she knows like what I'm experiencing, you know? So then
Uh-huh.
like I might talk to her, we might like, but it's almost like I have to now, it's like a process, you know? I'm trying to go
Yeah.
on a walk. Maybe I'll smoke weed, but then like that actually doesn't help most of the time. That actually will make what I'm feeling, it will augment it. So it's not very helpful in those moments to do that. So it's like I kind of wind up looping until either something demands my immediate attention, like I have to do something now, like hey, let's go to the store, or like let me take care of something that I can, like that I need to do to help me move on from the feelings of like the vulnerability, like hangover. And I think that that's something that's been coming up for me, almost like I like peek out, some aspect of myself is like seen, then I get this like kind of, yeah, the vulnerability hangover feels like a lot. I start getting it like into that, like my, you know, my fucking logic ceiling is now like, and then
So
I'm feeling, yeah.
are there specific situations when you get the vulnerability hangover versus not? Like
Hmm.
with
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
people.
it's it's like posting on social media, we'll do that kind of thing. It's like getting back to people if I feel like I've been taking too long to like respond because I've been in some emotional state, like
Uh-huh.
um things around like using my voice, like if I have to hear my voice back, that'll kind of trigger it. Just
Uh-huh.
something I've noticed. Um,
Wait, pause there, Dice.
mhm.
So when you hear your voice back, is it like a social media post talking, or if you sing, do you also feel that?
Yeah, like even sometimes I'll leave voice memos to myself. Sometimes I'm watching like a replay of something that I was in. Like once, a few times this happened where I recorded like like podcasts with people, and they would put it out, and that would like really trigger like a whole experience. And I've done a little bit of work around this, around like my voice, so it feels there's less charge, but things where I have to like see my image, listen to my voice, imagine myself like seeing my image or hearing my voice from, even like if I'm not like actually hearing it, I, the thought around what that image could be, I'm remembering like, oh, I didn't complete my thought and like left things trailing. I hate that about myself. Like that's the type of, and it's not even that explicit, but that's kind of like the vibe that I'm talking about. And it happens somewhat often.
Uh-huh. So you leave something trailing. What is inherently wrong with that? Like what is triggering there?
Um, Maybe it's my own judgment. It feels like the assumptions that could be made about me because of my own voice, that I'm not being like clear enough, professional enough, like succinct enough with my words. Like people are gonna notice I'm winging it. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you.
How are you doing? How are
This
you
is
feeling?
some sensitive stuff because I for sure I feel it in my body.
Where are you feeling it?
Uh, I'm getting this general oof, I want to like move, I think a little bit in like kind of my chest area,
Um,
my brow, it's almost like I'm not able to like find like a kind of peaceful, relaxed place over here. I'm in like this like
uh,
judgment zone.
yeah. So what's the emotion you're feeling in your chest?
Think it's more of a sensation, and it's like
Okay, there's no emotion there, it's just sensation.
at this moment, yeah. But maybe it's just like it's not very strong right now.
Okay.
Um, but it's kind of like a gentle, kind of little like cloudy pillow with like a little bit of a weight that's like happening there.
Uh-huh. What what would things be like if you did not have that weight? How would you show up in the world if that weight wasn't there?
As you say that, I'm like, oh, there's just like I wanted to do like a sigh of relief, and then like, oh no, feel like just move around, relaxed, and I'm getting this hit of like, if I didn't have that weight, I would just be free and really not care
Mhm.
about what people or think, you know?
Mhm.
Like I
Oh,
wouldn't be so concerned with like what that could be in the way that I am. Just kind
uh-huh.
of this like lightness.
Mhm. Okay, let's just hold on to that potentiality, or even like imagine what if you could feel that right now? What if I do feel that right now? If I am that dice right now, what would it be like?
Yeah, no, I can actually to feel like bits of that right now because it's like, oh, it's starting to come through my body. It's almost like, oh, but let go of some of the heaviness, and I'm wanting to like spring up and move and
Uh-huh.
laugh. And there's like a rhythm to it.
So as we shift into the intentional part of the state, I want you to just remember what that feeling is, okay? So when you're seen and vulnerable and you think I did something wrong and you experience shame, the actions that we listed were that you might space out, you might visualize, you might feel emotions, including overwhelm. Um, you might visualize the ways that you said something, what it could have looked like, uh, fixate on ambiguities. You hear the sounds of what you said, take walks, distract yourself, retract. You might retract from some people and then go seek space from other people. And
Mhm,
then potentially you might smoke weed or go out to do something.
mhm,
So if we were trying to actually just one moment to let me get phrasing dice.
mhm.
Um, so if you were not worried about doing any of those things and you could have fun and be seen, what actions would you take?
Um,
What actions would you need to take to feel safe being seen and to have fun?
well, it's like what's coming up is like if I am feeling like if I have the feeling where I'm not really concerned with that, like the actions tend to be more fluid, more focused. Like I find like, oh, like I find creativity and then like I'll do something. Like I actually start taking actions, like whether it's like a thing that I needed to finish or a project that I'm like excited about, or then I actually want to like it's almost like, oh, I swing back around to like I want to connect with people. I want to hit up like so and so because we haven't like connected since forever ago, probably because I've been avoiding it. So it's like I want to like participate and like be a part of life. I might take a lot of the same actions, but without that like heavy feeling or feeling like, like I did this or that. I'm just kind of like I'm doing it. Like when I'm feeling that way, I'll do things like post on social media or voice memo like people or freaking like yeah, I'll call my parents even though like that if I'm not feeling it like that'll I won't do that. So it's like it makes me want to engage um with life if I'm in a more like if my feeling isn't so concerned with what it's gonna
So
sound like.
let's pause for a second. So
Mhm.
um if you were feeling that way, you would find creativity, take action, connect with people, participate, post on social media, call parents, engage more. What do you think that you would need to do to shift from the space of I did something wrong and shame to this space of freedom that we were talking about? What actions could you take to
Hmm. So kind of like what's coming up right away. It's maybe finding like grounding, like slowing down, breathing, like revisiting things, giving things room to breathe. Like if I'm gonna revisit an event, I'm gonna do that like tomorrow,
Mm.
instead of right after it happens when I have all this like charge maybe, and I'm more likely to be very like critical. So like revisit things at their appropriate times, or with a bit more space in there. I would I would do some of the practices that like bring me joy in life, like reading, writing, um, like seeing my friends, um, going out and going out like for walks with more of a receptive like energy instead of a heavy energy. Like follow the structure that I tried to set for myself instead of avoid the structure I tried to set for myself. Um,
Why do you avoid the structure?
Great question. I think part of it is like like a long-standing habitual pattern of really, yeah, wanting to avoid like some type of consequence or work, and now it's become avoiding like um just general like avoiding. Like it feels I'll create structures for myself. I'll have to, create that for myself in the way that I think is going to be supportive, and then it's like automatically I want to do anything else but the thing. So I
Mhm.
like do this dance with myself of like if I don't like trick myself into discipline or showing up, if it's just like it's an open door and like you choose to do it and no one's kicking you like into it, it might not get it might not happen. So that's back to what I was saying. I'm deprioritizing like the good things in life to put the like things I'm not doing up front, to put the things that like are more um challenging because I have to prove something. So then like the easy actions, the things I'm like wanting to call in, they don't get like done. They don't get experienced. Um, and it could be basic shit. Like I'm gonna I'm gonna carve out like some time so that I can really like write or create something. And then I'll just not do it.
What is, can you close your eyes for a moment? Are you
Hmm.
comfortable with that? So if you just think about the word structure, what comes up for you? Do you feel anything? Do any thoughts come up? Any memories?
I'm saying more like abstract type of images. Like I love the idea of structure. I love
Uh-huh.
like what that um what that could be. And then right now I'm seeing images of like non-structure, like my backpack as a kid being like a complete mess. How like in school there would be all these like structured things, but I could get around it by being really clever.
Why
Um,
did you want to get around it?
so I don't want to be told what to do. Also, at home, this I don't think I really had like supportive structure. It was kind of chaotic. So it's like the structures that were given to me didn't necessarily fit. I
Uh-huh.
think on some level that the structure that makes sense to me is very like fluid and dynamic, and it's kind of like all over the place. It's not like a straight line. But then I also didn't really have that. Like I wasn't really held accountable to myself. I was just kind of like given a lot of grace because I don't know, I could still figure out things. So like
Uh-huh.
I could easily avoid like structures. So but some structures aren't supportive. Um and I often find myself in like conflict with certain structures where whether it's like a work or systems or is that I kind of find another path. Thank
Well,
you.
so let's come back to the structure that you're putting on yourself right now that you are finding it challenging to stick to. What comes up when you start thinking about that?
I guess it's like unless I have a hard like reason to be there with some level of like consequence or accountability, um, I might not show up. And like I've been working with that. I've been working on like on that for a long time. But that's kind of it's like there's a lot of openness and there's a lot of like energy like that is like being held. So this is also how I think of it. Like it's kind of pooling, um, but it's not flowing to like a lot of places. There's a lot of pooled energy, and then um, maybe there's a safety to that for me. It's like it feels good to not have anything to box me in or tell me what to do because I'll resist it on some level. But also then the energy is not flowing to where it needs to go. So there's
Uh-huh.
too much openness, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. So you said something earlier. You said that you avoided the structure because you thrive more when there's loose structure.
Hmm.
So when you think about the structure that you're putting on your life right now, is it loose structure or is it rigid structure? And then you're trying to subvert the rigid structure like you did when someone else is putting it on you.
It honestly feels way more like that. Like, um, where that part of me, maybe it's back to that like criticism like level aspect of myself is like is judging the not having structure and then wanting to like project that I need some type of like structure, discipline, and if I'm not doing that, it's wrong. So there's already like a lingering effect there. But then another part of me is like I actually I thrive on with the right level of like structure and flow, like with the proper like space of that, then I really thrive. And there's examples of that. There's jobs I've had that have that like fluidity. There's with music, like I play in a way that represents that. Like I don't try to like do exact like exact things. I can think of like let's say harmonic blocks and what I can do within them, but like having something to box me in while I explore. So like there's a place where there's like I can lock that shit in and it's so amazing when it's there, you know? But then if I fall out of it, then it's like um maybe a part of myself feels like yeah, you don't have any stress. So I think it's like that inner critic is forcing me to be like, you're never, it always feels wrong. So you always have to like try to implement or create some structure that ultimately I don't want anyway. So I am subverting the very same thing. Then I'll be like, well, you got to do this and this and this to get to where you want to go, then the other part of myself is like, oh, well, what if I do like anything else? What if I do any fucking other thing?
So what do you think is the just the minimum amount of structure that you can imagine to give you, I'm imagining like music, I don't know what's called, like 4/4, 5/4,
Oh
and
yeah,
like without that, then it's like just notes everywhere and it's chaos, right? But that
yeah.
is what puts it into something so it feels like a coherent song,
Oh,
right?
oh, absolutely. I mean, this is how I really understand things. I could go deep into this, but like in music like that, I wouldn't need much. Like the only box would be like, what are the notes I'm playing, or like what's the note formula, or what's the harmony, or like whatever, however I want to see it. What time am I boxing it in, and like um, I can even think of it in like groups of like 4 or 8. That's how I do it. So I can like improvise within the structure. It's like, what are my notes? What's the time? What's the rate, And
So what's the minimum structure that you can create in your life so that you can still play within that?
that's a really good fucking question. Um, like I need I need somewhere to be and be engaged in a dynamic way that's gonna, but not all day. I need that for like let's say 4 hours, a couple of hours where like I have to be engaged in something that's very like dynamic and then pop out of that. So I it can't just be like something I create for my day. I have to do something during the day that like is external to me. That is like I have to show up for something, not to force myself into structure because like that's that's almost like how it works for me. If I'm asked to be somewhere or engaged in something, like I have a mission, I have a place to go, a, a thing to interact, like that, I can then like set the space around that. So I think honestly, I need a mission during the day. I do like just things like waking up, which I'm pretty good at. I'm pretty good at waking up like around the same time. So that's not really the issue, but like not even having like a strict like this is my morning routine, but being like I have these possibilities and I have this very like I gotta be there for these things because that helps me orient, but it can't be all day. I have to
Mhm.
be within like structure, like hard structure for like a good portion of it, then come out the other side. So I think I need possibilities throughout the day, but something. And thank you for this. I'm literally exploring this and discovering this shit or live right now. That so I haven't
Well,
even
why would
said I've never
so
said this to myself. And it's like, yeah, I got to do something that's like external to me, that requires my like response. I got to be responding and like in a dynamic situation for a good portion of the day. And then once I'm done with that, I feel like that satisfies my need for like doing the thing that was done that day. And that puts me into a space of like, now I can explore the more unstructured, you know, aspect
Mhm.
of life.
So what I'm hearing is that you need to know what you're supposed to be doing. When you said you have a mission and
Yeah.
external, like you need to have goals.
I need to have like I need to have like one solid thing that I'm getting myself into. I don't need to know what that's going to look like or how it's going to work out, but that I need to be there, and that I need to like show up for it. So, example, um, one of the best structures I realized that was working for me was when my friend Alex and I were reselling furniture out here in Portland. Why? We would like wake up during the day, we do our own thing. We're like, I was studying for Condor at that era. So I get in there, I do my stuff, then it'd be like 10 in the morning, it'd be like, hey, we've got like a pickup and a delivery like at some point today. It's gonna happen at 11, it's gonna happen at 2. Cool. Like now in those middle pockets, I'm like, I can really focus in that. And then, but I also have a mission. I don't know what that's gonna look like though. It might be like we might be hitting like some questionable like spaces or things, but like that's where the fun is. It's like let's figure it out. But actually breaking like time into like a less amorphous mega open thing,
Uh-huh.
and having something very concrete that like I have to be there for. like
So,
like me personally has to be there and do something.
what I wrote down, and you can tell me this is wrong, is first of all, it's 1:59. Are you open to going another 10 or 15
Yeah,
minutes?
yeah, let's go for another 10 or 15. Yeah.
Okay, so what I wrote down was time boxes. And
Mm-hmm.
that like what it feels like to me is that if you start the day, you say, I have 8 hours and I gotta do these 6 things for Todd Cole. I have all day to do them. Like it might be 2 hours of work, but with that amorphous amount of time, it's too open. But like this call, even you're like, hey, I've got a call with Gabe at 1. So that means I have 90 minutes in the morning. It's like it creates something. So, you know, it's interesting. Like I'm curious if you were to create those time boxes and you're like, listen, 10 to 11:30 is heads down time every morning. And then I have lunch and then 1 to 2:30. And then you can fill up those other spaces with other things and find what those missions are. But if you don't have it, it's like take a walk, play guitar, do whatever. But the time boxes are still there for you to do the things that you need to do during the day instead of having like I got to fill up 8 hours with work time because I'm supposed to be working for 8 hours, which I feel overwhelmed just talking about that, you know?
Man, thank you. A couple of things came up. It's yeah, you're absolutely right. And so one of the things that came up is like, I really first of all, my success with that. All right. So when let's back it up to my lifetime. I've never been one for planners, calendars, fucking any of that shit. So that's not like a skill I developed. That's not a skill I developed as a student. I'm really good at like holding all the information. I don't need to write things down. That's my style. I don't study. I just would pass the test. That's kind of like how I roll. So calendars and things like that. It's like if I have to be there, I will fucking be there, and I know when it exists. Otherwise, I'm not planning my life, right? In that way. However, a couple of years ago, coming to Condor, um, I started to really like want to create that. And then there was this couple of week period where I really like time boxed um things for myself. And some of those things were really creative practices. Like so I would have these like times in the evening, and where I was just gonna work on my stuff because I got this like freaking download for what I wanted to build. It was called Integration Cube, and it came to me in a fucking dream. Like when it just came to me. So then like there was this period of time where I set that time for myself, and then like magical shit started happening. This is where I built my card deck, which you probably don't even know about because I like never printed it in that way. I do have one with wavelength, but that was different. So like I created not just that, like a whole system. Like I it was fucking very like powerful. And I haven't really like put it out there, but it's something that's still developing. Like it's kind of went into this like whole art style integration, like experiencing game that I was like developing. And um that was like I had never done that in my life. I like put the time box to be creative. There was this one time I microdosed and like consulted the I Ching, and like it brought so much like rich information to me. So that was a really successful period of that happening. Then like I fell off of it.
Mhm.
Shit got really crazy in my life. And then I would look at my calendar and got like it's like I had filled it with the different boxes of things that I wanted, and then it just became like, um, I'm not doing these things, and I'm seeing the feedback of they're on there, and now I'm not doing it. So then it started creating this like negative feedback loop of like, I'm just gonna take everything off my calendar because seeing myself not do those things is causing like stress. So there was like the interesting kind of like switch up. And then the other thing that came up as you're doing that is like, and I'm realizing this now. This is the new thing I'm realizing. It's like the finding like there needs to be a time block in there that is not just me holding me accountable to it, that I like there need at least for now, perhaps in the future I could like really do that, but like having somewhere in there where it's like Tuesday's Condor calls. I know I'm gonna be on that shit. So that now it's like I'm there,
Mhm.
period. But the other things that are too open, like I need a space that's like someone else is telling me to do it, or like someone else depends on me being there, or it's related to something outside of me, so that I can like I know that that's not just like a choice that I'm making for myself. And maybe that's a crutch, but like that helps me orient like my time.
I hear how that helps because that would let someone else down, right? If you do,
Yeah.
and at the same time, there's a need for you to do your own projects, your own work, your own creativity, whatever else. So I can see that like is an extra motivation, but so let me ask a question first. Do you have a morning routine? Do you have a morning ritual?
I mean, I slide from it all the time, but it tends to be getting up like on Tuesdays and Thursdays is strong because I'll go do yoga. So that's become like a really powerful
Oh,
ritual. And it's like but a lot of times it's like get up, have a very like slow morning, usually like take a walk. And I try to fill that with on my best days, like sitting with myself for a few minutes.
mhm.
Um, just kind of like dropping in to myself, remembering what I was doing and writing. But I like it's so loosey goosey that it kind of happens when it happens. But I tend to those are some of the major components. Go on a walk, make some coffee, um, like write, and I usually play music for just a little bit, just to tune in.
Can I make some suggestions?
Please.
So, what time is yoga?
It's at 6 in the morning.
Okay, so this can be when you come back from yoga because that seems impractical to add stuff before yoga, but it's mm, my thought is that there's a need for these time boxes. There's a need for you to add some structure, and your schedule is not the same every day. That you
Mhm.
cannot just put in your calendar 9 a.m. dice time
No.
because you might have a meeting with me at 9 a.m. or you might have Tom Cole or whatever else. So my thought is that you have a morning routine and you wake up and you set an intention for the day. Like, who do you want to be, feel, do, change, whatever. Just like, what is my goal as me for the day? Then you write down a to-do list of all the things that you know need to happen that day. And then you go and you look at your calendar and you say, where is the best place or places to fit in blocks of time for me to work, to be creative, whatever else. And right here, you can set a goal for what's the total length of time and how many time boxes. And so those three things, like once you have your intention, like how do you want to show up in the world? What do you need to do? And then look at your calendar, that can inform you how to create those time boxes and even like create intention time boxes. You could say yo, I need to work on my website. I'm gonna intentionally say I have an hour to work on a website. Or I feel like I really want to be playful today. I'm gonna have an hour to write music today and just put it on your calendar. Right, I've got my call with Gabe at 1. This is gonna go from 2 to 2:30, 2 to 2:45, whatever else. And so it's just adding a tiny bit more structure in the morning so that you can create the structure for the rest of the day that supports you instead of, my projection of what's happening with your structure is you are creating someone else's structure. You are creating the structure as you think that you were told to create structure, and that doesn't work for you. You've been avoiding authority your entire life. You've been avoiding whatever people have been telling you your entire life. And I say that from a place of empathy because I've done the same thing. I figure out how to subvert everyone else's rules my entire life.
Mhm.
So let me pause there. How does that sound, adding a more?
Man, thank you. No, this this is really landing right now. It's really bringing some things in. Like I love what you're saying about, I mean, and honestly, it's like, this is so simple, but the amount of times I've done it is very like little of like really waking up, setting an intention, and actually looking at that day and then peppering in my options. Because the idea of I like variability and things to be dynamic. So the idea of setting like my entire week and like it begins to feel very rigid immediately, whereas like I can look in a day and like place things out. I'm actually doing that unconsciously all the time. So it's like just bringing more awareness. And then also the thing that came up was like it doesn't need to be all or nothing. Like I got a time box everything in my life and put it. And it's like I can start with the intention and then just be like, I'm gonna see what I already have going on, and then I'm gonna put the things I want to do like
Mhm,
for the day right there. And
mhm.
then just it feels good to me to like play with that on a more day by day basis. And actually just knowing like what are the things I would love to get like done this week, but then just have them as options and then plugging them in. Um, and it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I can allow for myself to like be fluid, but knowing that like I'm gonna have to move that somewhere. So I think I'm gonna play around with physically doing that. Like I'm looking at, this is not my calendar, but it'll kind of like a little cork board thing that my roommate made with these little like, so it's up there with
I see.
little post-its. And I think like I might want to physically look at the things like to have a physical, can I move the chips around type of thing instead of just like my digital calendar. Um, which actually feels good, like giving myself options and some structure. And then also like I want to be accountable to myself. So that's that is an intention. I want to show up because not because I'm being forced to or I have to not let someone down, because like it's what I want to do. So like to build towards that, I just same thing I've been doing with yoga. I just gotta like do the small thing and remove the freaking like expectation of an outcome that day. And just gotta like just stay with that. Like, can I stay with giving myself a little bit of options, like coming up for the next couple days, and then like showing up to them, like fucking small. Because I tried my big, kind of crash that I just told you. I was so inspired, everything was great. I overloaded my calendar with too many things, especially when I had never really functioned in that way. So it's like it's so easy to go back to my default programming, which is like, um, whatever. I just kind of know by feel. If I have to be somewhere, I'll be there. Otherwise, time is.
Well, and this is the important thing, Dice. I think this is the really important thing. And you know, my intuition says this is going to come full circle right now. At that juncture, when you were seeing the things on your calendar you weren't completing, and you decide to delete the stuff from your calendar, what were you feeling?
Overwhelm and disappointment and like kind of frustration.
Similar at all to the sensation that stops you from uh
Yeah.
even having fun?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, it's very similar to that. It's another version of that, because then it's like, let me clear all of this so I can just like not experience it anymore. Which
So
which is back to the deprioritizing. Actually, the things in my calendar, a lot of them were things that I want to do, as the things I'm saying I want to do, as the things I'm like striving to accomplish, the things I want in my life. So um I also took them off the list, not just the work things, you know?
um, so okay, I'm gonna tie everything together now, and then
Hmm.
we're gonna close.
Hmm.
So, there's a lot of stuff from the initial states around perfectionism that like what will people think because of me not completing a sentence, or did I say it right, was my voice right, whatever else. So I think like in both situations, both after a situation that you are ruminating on, and then before a situation when you start to get into the headspace of if I do it, these things might happen. It's time for a PPP. It's time for a PPP, and it's time to check in with yourself and say, what will happen if? What will happen if someone judges me for um not completing a sentence? What will happen if someone doesn't like my voice? What will happen if I'm not perfect? And kind of follow that thread and see if it comes back to a place of nothing will happen. Like I know intellectually you know that, but track it through and see what emotion comes up and be with that emotion, and then see if it ever gets back to the nothing will happen. And then if nothing will happen, then you can be like, okay, I can do the fucking thing because I know nothing will happen. I know it's safe. And if not, then write that shit down. And when you get home, when you get to a safe place, process that emotion, process that belief, whatever else it is. And so both cases, if you're preventing yourself from doing what you're supposed to be doing, or if you are in it after doing something, it's that check-in, and the check-in on really what was the significance of the outcome, what could have happened, and why am I experiencing this? Like, why am I experiencing this fear, this shame, whatever else? And to start to unpack these one at a time. Why my voice? Why showing up? Why incomplete sentences? Um, so that's the holistically like
Hmm.
the homework from what we came here for. And then add in the morning routine of setting intention for the day, creating a to-do list, and then adding time boxes. I would actually add, like, I know you've got your cork board, but I would put in, like, every morning you put them in your phone and say,
Yeah, yeah, I would still do that, but almost like maybe what I was thinking is maybe even like having on the physical, like this is all the shit, and then just taking those and then I'll plug it into my phone, but like to almost physically kind of distill things because I'm very adept at like it's this big like cloud of stuff and I can sort through it sort of but no this has been incredibly helpful like kind of really pausing in those moments, not identifying with the whole whirlpool that I can get into, like ask like what will happen if and kind of start pulling it back because I know that when I do that like I don't I don't think I really fear the consequences. It's my own internal thing that like makes me believe that I do. Because if someone was actually like, I'm disappointed in you, like I might actually reflect on what I actually did or be like, no, that it's like I know a clear answer actually if someone says something.
well, there's one of two options, right? Either it's a habit and you're in intellectualizing, you'd be like, oh, that habit doesn't make sense. So whatever. Or it's in your body, it's in your nervous system, it's stored as emotion. And it's like, oh, I didn't finish the sentence. So what will happen? Oh, Gabe will judge me for not finishing the sentence. So what will happen? It's like, well, obvious shame because Gabe judged me for like being a human. And like, oh, why do I feel shame for that? Why do I feel fear for that?
Yeah.
And you can start to peel back all the layers there. And so if it's a thing, you can start to do your own work on it. If it's not a thing, then you can be like, this is a bad habit. I don't need this habit.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling that right now actually quite clearly as you're saying that. So it's almost take it down that little like yellow brick road, so to say, and kind of seeing the different paths and playing it out.
Yeah.
Then it's like, wait, actually, uh, there's nothing there really. It's just it's like I believe that there's something more, but if I follow the trail, there's really not not much for it to survive on.
I could suspect 70-80% of the time it's going to be nothing. And
Oh
your
no, I guarantee.
intellectualizing will override it. And then the rest of the time, you're going to hit some fucking like, you're like a old childhood thing or like some generational thing or like, what I mean, a past life thing. You're like, oh, where the fuck did this come? This is so
Well,
weird.
I mean, that's also the gift of sometimes like navigating this stuff is like, well, things will come through that are like very they click. Yeah, this just to reiterate, because this is really helpful for me, especially in these moments, like especially because I can anticipate when this pattern might happen to really put in like this is when I will pause. This is when I will like
Uh-huh.
sit with it, and this is I'm gonna follow the trail down. Um, and then as far as like the structure goes, the thing I'm really gonna activate is like what's my intention for the day? Like I will either write it down or say it to myself. Like if I can't write it down, but I'm striving to like put something down just to really feel that. Because whenever I do like the Condor Journal, that's that number one question like is so helpful, right? And like even if I don't return to it in the day, like knowing that I wrote it down and did connect, really helps. So that's gonna be my space. And then I'm going to use my next coming days to play with like I'm gonna add in like one thing that I want to do intentionally, not fucking two or three.
And
One thing.
take it easy on yourself in terms of how big the time box is. That
Yeah,
don't be like
yeah,
if
3 hours.
yeah, if you feel yourself saying an hour and a half, maybe do an hour. What I mean? Like, and really do that and titrate that. And maybe start with half an hour and then see like tomorrow do an hour and be like, oh, an hour felt a little long. And so you can kind of figure out what is the right amount of time for you.
You know what's coming up with that right now? It's like the roadmap to intimacy. Like actually, because that this has caused like difficulty for me in the past. I make the thing too all encompassing, or it needs to be like an hour, it needs to be like 2 hours, and maybe like actually working with smaller time constraints. Like I'm gonna do something for like 25 minutes. And then can I tolerate just showing up to it? You know, can I tolerate just being in the energy of doing that for like 10 minutes or like you know, and then I can open up the window instead of like it's a big window and I'm like, ah, that's so much like to
Well,
go from nothing to like a full hour and a half of focus on this thing.
I think the fun thing here is like you start with one time box, right? And you say 25 minutes. And then next week you can say, okay, I can stay focused for 25 minutes. That feels good. I'm gonna add one before my call, one after my call. Now I have two time boxes. And then maybe in 2 weeks or a month, you're like, hey, 25 minutes is like really easy. I'm crushing it. What happens if I do 35 minutes? And then you have two of that. And so you can titrate up the amount of time and the amount of time boxes throughout the day. Because really, like, if you were like a full-time employee type person and you had like a full 8 hours of stuff to do, you could be like half an hour, 20-minute pause, half an hour, 20-minute pause, and then like do that all day and intentionally create the spaces for your focus. And I think like the big lesson here, Dice, is the question is in all these places, how would Dice do it? Like if you see yourself
Mhm.
subverting, resisting, fighting, it's what is the Dice way? Because you know you need some structure in your life. You cannot write music or make
Mhm.
it sound like music unless there are bars, right?
Mhm.
And if you're like, I am only gonna write 4/4 for the rest of my fucking life, then you're like, that is miserable. That's boring as fuck. Like I don't know if you like dance music, like electronic music, but like
Yeah, yeah, I listen to
dubstep
everything.
has hip hop drums, and so there's the kick can go. It can be all four. It can be missing on the first, second, whatever, and it changes. And so there's a groove to it. House music, it is don't
Mhm.
don't. And so I can drive to house music. I can run to house music. I get bored dancing to house music after about 25 minutes.
Mhm.
It's too structured, it's too rigid, and I need the groove in there. And that's really what I'm saying, Dice, is like figure out the spaces so you can have the structure you need, and there's still a groove. There's
Yeah.
still a
No,
groove.
and I understand that. And um if I see it that way, like I can. It's like I know my choices are different or interesting. I actually have to do that instead of right back to musically, like I which is something I've like really worked to develop. It's like, what would I do rather than like what would whatever be the generic answer or like the expected thing. Like I can navigate that musically quite well. This is more like, and in my life, however, right now it's really like finding that point of like structure versus and open creativity and like what's that like enough space but enough structure to really like get into the zone. So I'm feeling super inspired because now I'm seeing images of like, oh shit, these are examples of when I am in that are popping up. And then um like so the full story isn't like just the negative aspects or the procrastinating. Like there's a lot of times I am in flow. So let me let me reverse engineer.
Genshin Zoom.
Yeah. Like
You know,
actually wait, let me pepper that in. That said, I do think that starting with the small time boxes is a strategy that I'm gonna use moving forward because I've been kind of I've been kind of falling off of really how to use the calendar, and I've been relying only on like the hard things, and I haven't been putting space in there. So I'm gonna start with like a few things I know I want to do and can I just show up to it? Because it's better 15 minutes than it not being done it all, and like knowing myself, if I open the door and I get focused, I'll be in there for 3 hours before I realize. And not that it needs to be so like one or the other, but I can I know how to, so to say, work with myself as well to, if I just open the door, the chances of me like going deeper in are pretty they're pretty high.
Well, so here's the question, Dice. If you are feeling resistant, is it because this is not something that lights you up, or because you are doing it within structures that do not work for you? And so that's another check-in, is that like, is this something that I really want to be doing at all? And as part of
Mhm.
this practice, as part of this exercise that you're doing, I would start with these time boxes and fill in things that you are really inspired by, that really light you up. And then eventually you can expand out to like doing your fucking taxes or whatever you find the most boring thing.
Mhm.
But right now, if it's an issue of focus and structure and getting yourself to do things, like let's create like do some Pavlovian shit. Let's create something where you're fucking chomping at the bit to get to your heads down time, and then you can use it for things that are maybe not so exciting. But you can't really figure out if this plan, this structure works if you're also using it to do things that you find boring right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, this is
start
true.
with things that you want to do. And then if that works and you find yourself finding ease of doing the things you want to do, then you can start adding in the other things and use it as a tool to get yourself to do the things, the chores, the daily life things that are not exciting.
I mean, that feels a lot better than what I have been doing, which is like put the things I feel that I have to do up front and then like squeeze in maybe the things I want to do. So I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do.
Um, I
Um,
feel excited, honestly, because like I've been really, especially now with like the time at being spring, kind of summer vibes, like me getting the getting the time to like work for me a little bit more is just something I want to do.
cool. Last question before we close.
Mhm.
How does your chest feel at this point in the
Um, oh well, that I think that kind of like it moved on. I actually feel like open, expanded. It's actually funny that the chest come up like through this yoga practice. I've been changing my posture. So my
Mhm.
chest has been very like out here, and I feel this like, oh shit, like it feels good. Whereas like when I'm in the shame space and all the bullshit, I'm over here. I'm over here in this like
Sure,
concave space. So
sure.
I could feel like, oh, there's like a confidence to it, even just physiologically there.
Okay. Thank you, Dice. Thank you for doing this with me. Uh,
Thank you.